Hi friends. So we will go with the next MCQ that was asked in today's AIMS exam. It was regarding the sample size calculation. The sample size calculation. So please remember friends that for any sample size calculation, most of the times we use a simple and most basic formula for sample size calculation. This formula is 4 at 95% confidence interval with alpha level of 5% and power of 80%. We have a simple formula that is 1.96 into 1.96, that is 4, 2 into 2 multiplied by prevalence into Q over L square. What is P? P is equal to the prevalence of the disease. Q is equal to 100 minus prevalence of the disease, and L is equal to the relative precision. It is the allowable error that you can have while calculating the sample size. So this is a general kind of formula for any sample size calculation that can be asked in your exam. You need to be well versed with this. So if we talk about the MCQ in your exam, so I'll just rewrite this, that sample size is 1.96 into 1.96 into prevalence into Q over allowable error, that is the precision. So the MCQ which was asked in our exam today was that if the prevalence of a disease is 10%, the alpha error is 5%, the power is given as 80%, the relative precision was given as 20%. So I just need to simply substitute it all over here. The relative precision is given, the prevalence is given, that is all that we need. So please remember, let us see how we calculate. We will calculate, so if I just round this of 1.96 into 1.96, I round it out to 2 into 2, that is equal to 4. So it will be 4 into prevalence, that is 10%, into 100 minus prevalence, that is 90, divided by L square. L is 20% relative. Please remember, here is a catch. It is 20% relative precision. That means L will be 20% of the prevalence. So what is the prevalence? Prevalence is 10%. So 20% of 10% prevalence, that is equal to 2. So L square, 2 into 2. This will be 4 into 900 divided by 4. So answer will be, sample size is calculated as 900. So that was a simple calculation which was given to you for your AIMS exam. Now before we close this session, I would like to talk about 2-3 important points about the sample size that you can be asked very well in any of your upcoming exam. There is something known as strike rate of the MCQ, and sample size has a perfectly high strike rate. So please remember that for sample size, let us talk about something about sampling. If we talk about sampling, sampling could be classified into 2 types. Sampling could be a random sampling, it could be a non-random sampling. First MCQ. Random sampling is also known as probability sampling. Non-random is also known as a non-probability sampling. Second MCQ. What are the examples of random sampling? Random sampling could be of various types, as simple random, as stratified random, as systematic random, as cluster sampling. Non-random sampling, on the other hand, could be classified into many types. You can have something known as quota sampling, convenient sampling, snowball technique, one more point about all this: simple sampling, MCQ which has been asked, it takes into account what? It takes into account the random numbers. The random table numbers is a type of simple random sampling, random table numbers. Lottery method is again simple. Stratified, where you divide the whole population into strata, where the population is divided into classes or strata. This strata could be dependent on the socio-economic status. You can divide the population into rich, middle income group and the lower income group. You can take 10% from the lower income group, 10% from the middle income and 10% from the higher income group. Or you can divide your whole population depending on their nutritional status. They can be underweight, moderately overweight or obese population. You can divide it into whatever strata you want to. Systematic is dependent, frequently asked question. Systematic type of sampling is where you go with the system. I will take every nth house in the village or in the town. I will take every sixth house. For example, there are 1,000 houses. Example, there are 1,000 houses in a village. On an average, in any household, we have 5 individuals per household. So if there are 1,000 houses, so that means we have 5,000 population. And your sample size is, let us say, 1,000. So how many houses would you like to take? To cover a population of 1,000 individuals, we need 200 households, right? So to have 200 households in a population of 1,000, in a village of 1,000 houses, what do I need to do? If this is my village, if I want to take only 200, I may have do a convenient or a quota sampling that I will take 200 population from here because I live here. Rather than that, a probability or a random type of sampling would be I will take every 5th house. So what will happen? I will take every 5th house and I will cover the whole village. This is known as systematic sample, and that we take the sample in a system. Last is cluster sampling. Frequently asked MCQ about cluster sampling. Cluster sampling is done for evaluation of programs. For example, there is universal immunization program whereby we immunize all the children for the vaccine preventable diseases. Under this immunization program, if I want to check that how did the program go in a particular district, so how will I go about checking it? I cannot go to every household and check whether the child is immunized, yes or no. So what will I do? What will I do is, I will go to the village, I will make some clusters, I will check in those clusters. So under the program guidelines for universal immunization program, another MCQ, under the universal immunization program, under these guidelines, we have 30 clusters, each of 7 children. So if I have 210 children in my district immunized, I can assume, I can take it for granted that yes, this program is running nicely. Another MCQ regarding the National Iodine Deficiency Disorder Control Program, NIDDCP. Under this program, for cluster sampling, we take 30 clusters, each having 90 children. So under NIDDCP, please remember there are again 30 clusters, each having 90 children, and if all the children in that are having adequate amount of iodine, that means that this program is running nicely. So that was regarding your sampling techniques. Thank you.